Everyone is panicking. The economy is shifting. The news cycle is screaming. Another disaster is unfolding on your screen. And everyone around you is looking for someone to tell them it is going to be okay. Except you. You are already calm. Not the kind of calm you learn from a breathing exercise. The kind of calm you learned when you were 8 years old, standing in an empty house at 3:30 in the afternoon, with a key around your neck and no adult in sight. That is not a metaphor. That is the exact moment your psychology was forged. And nobody warned you it was happening. Picture the street you grew up on. 1984, maybe 1986. The school bus drops you off at 3:30 p.m. You walk alone to a house where both parents are still at work. You open the door with a key on a blue lanyard. The house is silent. The refrigerator hums. The television will not come on for another hour. And in that empty living room, something happens that nobody measured, nobody studied, nobody warned you about. You learn that you are the only person here. And if something goes wrong, there is no adult coming. The realization does not scare you. It forms you. When you come home to an empty house every day for years, your nervous system builds a very specific architecture. You stop scanning the room for an adult to solve the problem. You become the solution. When your knee is scraped, you clean it yourself. When you hear a strange noise in the basement, you check it yourself. When your homework makes no sense, you stare at it until it clicks. Nobody is coming. That was not a tragedy in your house. It was a fact. And your brain adapted to that fact the way a shoreline adapts to the tide. You did not become resilient. You became the only person in the room. Here is what most people get wrong about that childhood. They hear the word latchkey and they imagine neglect. They imagine loneliness. But that is not what the data shows. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Child Psychology found that latchkey children score significantly higher on self-regulation metrics by age 10 than their supervised peers. The key word in that finding is self. You regulate yourself. Not because someone taught you, because no one was there to regulate you. And you adapted. Your brain did what brains do. It built a system that worked for the environment it was given. The system worked so well that you did not notice it was a compensation. You thought this was normal. Now fast forward 35 years. You are in a boardroom. A deal is falling apart. People are raising their voices. Someone looks like they are about to cry. And you are the calmest person in the room. Not because you have better emotional intelligence. Because the present crisis is not registering as a crisis to your nervous system. Your alarm threshold was calibrated in an empty house in 1984, and it has not moved since. A 2022 study from the University of Minnesota found that adults raised in latchkey environments show significantly lower cortisol spikes during high-stress events. You are not handling pressure better. You are experiencing less pressure. Your brain learned that silence and danger are the same thing. So a screaming office feels like a Tuesday afternoon. This is where the psychology gets uncomfortable. Because the same wiring that makes you unshakable in a crisis also makes you unreachable in ordinary life. Think about the last time something genuinely good happened to you. A promotion, a surprise, a moment of real joy. Did you celebrate openly, or did you say cool and move on? For the latchkey nervous system, the line between peace and danger is nearly invisible. A quiet room and an emergency room feel more similar than they should. Because when you grew up alone, calm and catastrophe had the same soundtrack. Silence. Here is the paradox that defines your generation. You are the best person to have beside you in a fire. You are the worst person to have beside you at a dinner party. You will not panic when the plane hits turbulence. But you also will not reach for the hand next to you. Not because you do not care. Because the part of you that learned to reach was deactivated around age 9 when there was no hand there to take. A 2023 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that adults who grew up latchkey show significantly lower help-seeking behavior, not because they are ashamed, but because the impulse was never installed. You did not lose the ability to ask. You never developed it. Researchers at Harvard Center on the Developing Child call this hidden resilience, the ability to function without external support. But here is what the name does not tell you. Hidden resilience is hidden from the person who has it too. You do not know you are compensating. You think this is how everyone operates. And the people around you believe you are fine because you look fine, because you have never once shown them otherwise. A 2021 report from the American Psychological Association found that men who grew up in latchkey households are the least likely demographic to report emotional distress, even when their physiological markers tell a different story. You are not okay. You are just very, very good at looking okay. So the question becomes not why are you so calm, but what are you protecting with that calm? Because here is the piece that the self-help industry does not have a workbook for. The calm is a superpower, but it is also a wall, and the wall does not discriminate. It keeps out the bad and the good with equal efficiency. You handle the crisis. You manage the deadline. You navigate the divorce. You survive the loss. And then you sit at a table for one, wondering why you feel hollow when it is over. You handled it. But you handled it alone. And alone is the only way you know how. But here is what the research also found. Gen X adults who learn to ask for support in midlife report the deepest relationships of any age group, not in spite of their independence, because of it. When someone who has never needed anyone finally says, "I need you," it is not a transaction. It is a confession. It carries weight because it costs them something real. You were the child who learned to be enough. And you became the adult who never asks for more. But here is what nobody told you. The people who love you are not waiting for you to handle it. They are waiting for you to stop handling it alone. They are not impressed by your calm. They are worried about what it costs you. And the bravest thing you can do at 50 is not to survive another crisis without flinching. It is to finally let someone see that you flinched.